Okay, in this episode of Shadow Reviews, I'm going to be reviewing the episode of Thundercats Roar, Killing Time, which is actually a lot, but it's actually very good. I know that this show's mere existence essentially set Tumblr on fire, and people were demanding that Cartoon Network take it off the air. I've seen almost every episode of this show, and I enjoyed most of them. And I'm gonna get into the reasons why I enjoy this episode in this review. Okay, it all starts with Mumm-Ra's pyramid. Inside said pyramid, Mumm-Ra wakes up and he decides it's time for him to terrorize Third Earth. Mumm-Ra powers up and flies off to terrorize the citizens of Third Earth. But after trying to terrorize the Wolos, the Burbles, and the Balkans, Mumm-Ra got his ass kicked by the Thundercats. And it becomes very clear that he's not going to be successful in doing anything evil as long as the Thundercats are around. But then Mumm-Ra remembers something. He's immortal, and the Thundercats aren't. So, with that knowledge, Mumm-Ra concocts the plan to go to sleep for 1,000 years. And when he awakens, the Thundercats will have long since died off. The ancient spirits of evil question whether or not that's a smart idea, but Mumm-Ra ignores them. He sees the plan through, and when he wakes up, his sarcophagus had been moved into a museum displaying trophies from the Thundercats' most legendary battles. And a security guard at the museum tells Mumm-Ra that after his sarcophagus was moved here, his pyramid was thrown out and is now in the Third Earth's one and only dump, which is across from the futuristic utopia that they now live in. Mumm-Ra then walks around the future Third Earth, assuming that the Thundercats died off a long time ago. Then Mumm-Ra stumbles on a parade, and one of the Burbles tells him that it's Thundercats Day, the day where Third Earth celebrates its legendary heroes, the Thundercats. And then he says that the real Thundercats, and by real I mean original, have obviously died off due to old age. But then the Burble points out that it's the best part of the parade. The Thundercats, the real Thundercats, the original Thundercats. Seeing this gives Mumm-Ra the shock of his life, or in this case his death. Mumm-Ra questions, screaming out loud, how this could be possible. He went to sleep for 1,000 years. The Thundercats should not still be alive. When he gets his explanation from Jan Jan, the little girl who runs Chitara's company, who tells him that the Thundercats discovered the Fountain of Youth 999 years ago, and now everybody lives forever. Jan drinks some. She accidentally drinks too much, and she goes back from being an old lady to a little 5-year-old and goes back to kindergarten. Mumm-Ra then makes a big mistake by attacking the Thundercats during the parade, and he even says that he's their greatest enemy, but they don't even remember him. And before the Thundercats chase off Mumm-Ra, they once again do the recurring joke of thinking his name is Mumm-Ra. Mumm-Ra attacks, but it doesn't work. Turns out, with the Thundercats being almost immortal and having killed off every villain they ever fought that would have been around 1,000 years ago, there is not enough evil on Third Earth for Mumm-Ra to draw power from. He's essentially powerless. Mumm-Ra runs back to his pyramid to enlist the help of the ancient spirits of evil. On his way back to his pyramid, Mumm-Ra receives a physical injury from everyone he tried to terrorize at the beginning of the episode. A burble accidentally spun him around, a donkey kicked him, and a Wolo construction worker who was asleep on the job accidentally slammed Mumm-Ra around on the crane using the crane she was driving. However, she did throw him right into the only dump on Third Earth where his pyramid is. But when Mumm-Ra gets there, he sees that the Thundercats killed the ancient spirits of evil by smashing them. Probably because he was not there to stop them. So then, Mumm-Ra, knowing he's been beaten, decides he's going to go back to sleep for another 1,000 years, and because he assumes the Thundercats will definitely do something stupid and will die of old age because of it. By using a trap door, Mumm-Ra was able to escape and get back into his sarcophagus. Mumm-Ra wakes up, still in the Thundercat Museum, but it turns out that this was just a fake-out, so he tries it again. Mumm-Ra tries this over and over again, and it never works. The Thundercats are still around. After doing this around 4 times, having slept for 4,000 years into the future, the Thundercats are still around, and he would have to fight them, and he'd get his butt kicked. After doing this the fifth time, he sees a flyer to re-elect Snarf as president and decides that 1,000 years would be too conservative. This damages Mumm-Ra's alarm clock, and he lies in his sarcophagus asleep. And when he walks out of his sarcophagus, Mumm-Ra realizes he had been asleep for 1,000 billion years. Things apparently got weird, a little while back, and now the Thundercats are everywhere and everything. They are reality. And Lion-O tells Mumm-Ra how this all happened. And this, the scene where he's telling Mumm-Ra this, is the genius of this episode. You see, the episode of Thundercats Roar, Killing Time, is actually a subversion of the episode where a hero is not around to save the day, and one of their villains essentially takes over the world. Shaolin Showdown kinda did it. I'm pretty sure the Powerpuff Girls did it. But the episode of Thundercats Roar, Killing Time, basically takes that idea and subverts it by saying, what if the hero's arch enemy, or in this case, greatest enemy, essentially was not present for a massive amount of time, and the heroes just became more and more powerful. And it's revealed that without being there to fight the Thundercats, Mumm-Ra himself was the one who threw off the balance between good and evil. When Mumm-Ra realizes this, he falls to the floor, crying, having some kind of emotional breakdown. Lion-O reveals that the Thundercats are now one with all time, even the point in time when Mumm-Ra went to sleep and caused this timeline to happen. Mumm-Ra jumps directly into Lion-O's eye, essentially using it as a time portal, sending him back to the point before, well, right after he went to sleep, thus essentially erasing this timeline from existence. This is the way it had to end because there were more episodes on the way. And when both Powerpuff Girls and Shaolin Showdown did an episode like this, they had to use time travel as the means of fixing reality and erasing that timeline. Mumm-Ra appears back in his pyramid. When the ancient spirits of evil ask him what's going on, he tells them what happened and how he didn't like being in the future. And then the ancient spirits of evil ask him if he can finally take Mumm-Ra for a walk, but then Mumm-Ra says that Mumm-Ra can use the litter box like he taught him. He also taught him that the ancient spirits of evil were litter boxes, and Mumm-Ra pees on one of them. Specifically the one who was nagging Mumm-Ra earlier. Worn out, Mumm-Ra tries to take a nap, but then sees he's already in there, and can't smash this Mumm-Ra without erasing himself from reality. And the episode ends with Mumm-Ra and Mumm-Ra sleeping on a bunch of old newspapers. In all fairness, I have no clue why Tumblr was set on fire because of this show. I really do like it. And this is a genius, this episode in particular, is a genius subversion of the hero is removed from the timeline and one of the villains takes over the world type storylines. With that, this review is coming to a close.